Welcome to Fantasy Results, weekly podcast for J-Blaze 39 on daily draft analysis. NFL kicks off this week. We've got a lot of games to cover here, so why don't we just jump right into it here. Starts off as soon as tomorrow night, Thursday, is the New England Patriots, defending Super Bowl champions, versus Kansas City Chiefs. What do you have to say on that one? Opens up at 50-point spread, and New England favored. What do you want to add?
Well, it's it's an interesting matchup. KC matches up well with New England. They've always played them tough. And I found some stats about passing. Between the two quarterbacks, Alex Smith and Tom Brady, their yards per pass are very similar. They're very shallow passers. A lot of dink and dunk type of attacks. So what I anticipate New England to win this game, but I think it's going to be something like a 28-23 game. Now for fantasy purposes, the guys I like are are the obvious: Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski. And then, Tyreek Hill from Kansas City. From an ownership perspective, it's you could go a little off the grid, and choose like a Danny Amendola or Chris Hogan, they could get you your pay after salary pretty easily because they are a very reasonable price. One intriguing play from a GPP standpoint is Malcolm Mitchell. He's kind of like the big play guy. So if you're looking for someone that is going to get you, like say 3 passes and 2 touchdowns. That could be a guy to consider. Mike Gillislee is probably the running back I'm looking at from Kansas City. And then we're going to look at Kareem Hunt from Kansas City, the rookie running back that took over for Spencer Ware. He's going to get a large volume of opportunities. And then I think New England's going to shut down Travis Kelce. He's given him trouble in the past, but Belichick seems to take away the team's best weapon. And in this case, I think it's Travis Kelce. So they're going to make somebody else beat him. I do like New England's. I like both defenses from a fantasy perspective here, because they might give up some points, but they're opportunistic. Opportunistic type of defenses. So I could see some special teams, touchdowns, and interceptions or fumbles type of scoring. So from a lineup construction, you could have Tyreek Hill and Kansas City defense to match it up, and then you could have or you can have the running back and KC, or you can have Gillislee, or James White. more like Gilsey because he's more of the ground and pound type of back. And to pair with New England's defense. So that's about all I got for that game.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just keep it rolling here. We're gonna have the New York Jets playing Buffalo. New York is picked on top, opening at 42 points.
Yeah, that line has changed now. It's down to 40 now.
All right.
It's kind of the toilet bowl here. It's somebody's got to score, and what I can see happening in this is Buffalo's favored by 8 on this game. The Jets, they're looking for that number 1 draft pick for next year. But somebody's got to produce. And there's nobody going to be on these teams. So from a large field, millionaire maker type of flyer, cheap play, punt play, you could go with Robbie Anderson, or Bilal Powell from the Jets, because chances are they're going to be in catch-up mode, so they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. An interesting stat is Josh McCown has thrown was the second or third most deep balls, and connected. His percentage is pretty high with connections on the deep ball, and that's intriguing here. All you need is a couple of those deep passes to pay off salary. So, you could go with the Robbie Anderson, or I don't like a whole lot else other than those. If you want to pair up Robbie and McCown, when you're playing like the large field, you got to get weird a little bit. So, anything goes. So you could start with those two, and then you'd be able to afford, your David Johnson and some of your stud other players in other positions, and be able to fit them in your lineup. That's kind of a interesting strategy to go. And there won't be any, but there'll be very low ownership. What you could do also is take Tyrod Taylor, pair him up with that Zay Jones, their new rookie receiver, as a flyer. LaShawn McCoy is going to be running the rock a lot, but the Jets traditionally have been pretty tough against the run. So, but he does catch the ball too, so it's that's something to consider. Now, an interesting aspect of this: Jermaine Kearse just got traded from Seattle to the Jets. I don't know how much playing time he's going to have, but he could be a fill-in, get 10, 15, 20 snaps or something to, maybe in the red zone. He's an excellent red zone target. So, you could take a flyer on him too. don't anticipate anything else other than what I just laid out there. So we'll move on to the next one.
Okay. Atlanta and Chicago. Surprising for me to see Chicago favored here by quite a bit. Opens up at 51. Hasn't stayed there, but tell us more about Atlanta and Chicago this week.
Now, Atlanta's favored by 7.
I'm misreading that then.
Yep. No, that's but it's going to be a close game. This is going to be one of those games that's going to be pretty high scoring. A lot of people are going to go off of last year's stats and think, oh, we could pass all day long on Chicago. Well, their defense has improved. But another dynamic of this is how well Atlanta's going to come out of the gate with their new offensive coordinator, Steve Sarkisian, because he said he's going to run the same offense that Kyle Shanahan was running. But how that fits, who knows? I mean, preseason, yeah, they've looked pretty good, but then again, it's the preseason. So I anticipate Matt Ryan to have a regression to what he did last year. I think last year was kind of a aberration. It was like a career year for him. So I think he comes back down to earth a little bit here this year. But for one game, I could see a 35-24 game, in favor of Atlanta. It's on offense with Chicago, you're going to have Kendall Wright, and it's all about Jordan Howard. And I think we're going to see the rookie quarterback, Trubisky, a good amount. And he's looked good in preseason. But, he's a rookie, so who knows? And Atlanta's going to anticipate, a lot of running too, so they're going to load the box to stop him. So there could be a sneaky play here. This rookie running back that fills in, he's kind of like the third down back, is Cohen. I forget his first name, but it's Cohen is his last name, and he he could get you 15 points, maybe if from playing from behind or trying to catch up. You may get some swing passes, but beyond that, Julio Jones is going to do what Julio Jones does. He's going to get targeted a lot. I anticipate Dante Freeman to get the ball a lot because there's a especially inside the red zone. Freeman seems to get the ball a lot down there, more so than Julio. And they got to dual running back there, that Tevin Coleman that kind of sniped some of his carries, but Freeman just got paid this year. This spring. They wanted him to run the. They want to focus on him. So they're going to feature him, and he's a very good pass catcher also. You know, another red zone target is this Austin Hooper from Atlanta. If you want a cheap tight end punt play, that could be a way to get off the chalk, which is going to be on Zach Ertz from Philly. So, you know, that could be a way to differentiate yourself, and could be a way to go about it. So, you know, there's gonna be a lot of people on Matt Ryan, and rightfully so. But you know, Mike actually, I think Mike Glennon might be starting for the Bears in this game. So, but it's going to be a matter of time before Trubisky takes over there. Yeah, I don't other than Kendall Wright, maybe Kevin White have his come out party. He does. The past is showing when Kevin White's been healthy, his targets, he's been targeted a lot. So that is something to consider. So you could go Glennon and Kevin White as a pair, you know, for salary relief. That's one way. You know, you want to correlate, you know, like a puzzle piece for your whole lineup. So on a big slate, you want to focus on, you know, a couple different games, and then just load up on those guys, and do the correlation. So, this is a possibility. This is on my radar for a game I'm gonna be looking at. So, yeah,
A lot that's riding on that. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back with our next matchup, which is Jacksonville and Houston. Jay Blaze 39, Daily Draft Analysis. Thanks for tuning in to Fantasy Results. All right, we're back with Fantasy Results. Talking with Jay Blaze 39 for DailyDraftAnalysis.com. All right, first week is pretty quickly upon us. Let's pick up our next game here, which is Jacksonville and Houston. We've got opening up at 42 points for going toward
Houston.
All right, take it away.
Well, this game is dropped down to 40, and you know, Houston's favored by 5, and that's telling to me for because I was looking up the history with these two matchups, these two teams. They've had some shootouts in recent years between these two teams, and you wouldn't think that was the case, because when you think of, you know, high-powered offense, well, Jacksonville doesn't come to mind. So, both defenses are pretty good. Both running games are pretty good. Now, there's a lot of uncertainty on these. Obviously, there's a narrative of Houston with the, Hurricane Henry. and wanting to put on a good show for them, for the people there. I think it's a little overblown, but there is something to that. So I think Houston's going to come out inspired, and looks like Tom Savage is going to be the starting quarterback for Houston, and who knows if he's. He's kind of a Bill O'Brien. Who knows what he's going to produce there with a quarterback there. It could be. I think they're going to be running the ball a lot with Lamar Miller. Dante Freeman could be kind of a touchdown vulture towards the goal line. And then I expect DeAndre Hopkins to have a strong game. He's kind of disappeared in the last year or two. But I think he's going to bounce back here. But Jacksonville's pass defense is pretty good. Their run defense, well, it's a little different story. But
you had mentioned Hurricane Harvey and the impact that has in Houston. Of course, we know that Irma is pounding down on Florida before too long. And how much do you think that's going to have a psychological effect on Jacksonville? They're away from the epicenter, but obviously there's a lot of thoughts toward heart and home. What are your thoughts on that impact?
There could be some of that, and that's a good point, because it could be a distraction for them, so it could turn into a rout for Houston as a result. Or it could go the other way and inspire them to put up a fight on both sides there. And week one, nobody knows. It's a crapshoot. It's there's no track record to go by. So you really got to think outside the box. On some of these games, because you can't go by last year's stats. You can't because there's too many variables. There's too many moving parts that have changed. Changed teams, changed quarterbacks, changed systems. In a lot of these contests. Jacksonville's got a new running back in Leonard Fournette. How healthy is he? He's been banged up with his foot, and the same injury he had in college. Is he going to be able to carry the workload? We don't know. Is Blake Bortles going to step up and take control of the offense and produce fantasy goodness like he did a couple years ago? Is Allen Robinson gonna reemerge and be a PPR machine? He's also got some other receivers now with Marquise Lee and Allen Hurns. He's got some weapons there. He's got Julius Thomas. Julius Thomas is going to be at tight end is going to be a weapon for them. I was watching some of some of their games in the preseason on the first team offenses, and tell you they're using Julius Thomas in multiple different ways, and they'll line him up and catch swing passes. They'll Adam Gaves. Knows how to use him. I'm thinking of somebody else here. No, we know Julius Julius Thomas is. I got mixed up here. Julius Thomas was with them last year. He's not with them anymore. He's in Miami. I'm sorry. Their tight end, Mercedes Lewis. Well, okay. Don't even worry about him. He's, he'll catch he'll catch 2 passes for 10 yards. So, the tight end to watch in this game is C.J. Fedorich. That guy can have 8 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. But he's last year he was sharing with Ryan Griffin. I think Fedorich is a better player, and I think he gets more opportunity. So, I just like a couple pieces from this game. But, the history, if you want to go by the history, there could be, that shootout potential. This could be if you're throwing out multiple lineups, you could do a game stack with these 2 teams, and then plug and play with to fill in the roster after that with another game. Maybe the Oakland game or the Atlanta game, or even the Green Bay game. So, but this could be a sneaky game stack that could produce some high points. So,
lots of elements to watch. It looks like
it is. There's a lot of unknowns here, and the thing about games like this, not a lot of people are going to be on these. They're going to be on just the marquee matchups, and that's where we can separate ourselves from the pack by having that unique lineup. So, and that's what it takes to win those big GPP contests.
All right. So our next contest to look at is Philadelphia and Washington, just a few hundred miles apart there, and a good rivalry. Looks like we've got Washington is reading out on the stats. So, Jay, what are your thoughts on?
It's kind of a pick 'em. It's 48 points. It's a rivalry game. It's a division game. They always play each other tough. Division games can be tricky because they know each other, especially these 2 teams. There's going to be some big plays on both sides. I expect Kirk Cousins to be throwing the ball a lot. I actually like both defenses in this game because of the opportunistic type of style that their defenses play, especially Philadelphia. In fact, Philadelphia is probably in my top 3 or 4 for defenses this week. I like Wendell Smallwood as a under the radar running back that's going to get some opportunity. I was reading an article where Doug Peterson, the coach of Philly, was saying that each game is gonna be a game plan based on the matchup on which running back he's gonna use between LeGarrette Blount, Wendell Smallwood, and Darren Sproles. Well, I think this is more of a Wendell Smallwood type of game. I don't think this is suited for LeGarrette Blount. He may vulture some touchdowns, towards the goal line, but that's about it. Otherwise, Washington's pretty tough up front. So I don't expect. I just expect a lot of pass catching out of the backfield on both sides by Rob Kelly and Smallwood and Sproles. I like Wentz in this game. In fact, I think Carson Wentz is going to have a breakout year this year. I think he's a star in the making. And he's got some weapons now to play with. He's got Alshon Jeffrey, who came over from Chicago. And he's gonna be all over that. He's gonna be, that's a good combination there for cash games. I would use that combination there. Either pair him up with Jeffrey or Zach Ertz, because they're both going to get peppered with passes. Philly throws the ball a lot. So, and Washington's, their defense isn't the greatest as far as their tackling. So, could be a lot of broken plays and going for long touchdowns. So I anticipate like a 31-28 Philly game. And obviously the points got to come from somewhere. So that's
a lot to be watching on that.
Yeah, I mean, from Washington, I could see Crowder and Jordan Reed being the focal points there. I don't see anybody else having much of an impact for them.
Okay. All right. Well, that brings us up to Arizona and Detroit. Quite a lot going on there. What can you tell us on Lions and Cardinals matchup?
Well, the history of them is they tend to have a lot of shootouts. There's a lot of offense in this game. Carson Palmer is going to be throwing all day to Fitzgerald. Detroit's defense is improved from last year, but I don't think they're there yet. They're a work in progress. Arizona defense, yeah, they're pretty good, but there's, they give up big plays too. This game's all going to be about David Johnson and Golden Tate for Detroit, because Golden Tate's going to, he runs out of the slot, and I think he's going to wreak havoc on the Arizona corners. And I also, another sneaky guy is Marvin Jones. He can get deep on a couple of passes. We seen last year, he had a breakout, in week one. I think he had like 2 or 3 touchdowns in week one. He started off the year just on fire. So he could do it again. We don't know. But Stafford, likes to throw the ball, so it's
anybody's ball game.
Yeah, it's gonna be there's gonna be a lot of fantasy points in this game, so on both sides. So this could be a game stack also with Abdullah, Tate, and Theo Riddick out of the backfield, and then Marvin Jones. I do not like the tight end Ebron from Detroit this year, or this week even, because Arizona's like number one against. They're really high on against the tight end, so. For Arizona, it's all about David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald. John Brown could get loose for a touchdown or two, a couple of big plays. But that's about it. That's what I got for that one.
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, and you're listening to Fantasy Results for DailyDraftAnalysis.com. JBlaze39. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fantasy Results, weekly podcast for DailyDraftAnalysis.com. We're talking with JBlaze39. We're going to jump right into our next matchup, Oakland versus Tennessee. We've got a 53-point total match, and got Oakland up with a 2-point spread, or a
2-point favorite.
2-point favorite.
Yeah. Actually, the Vegas has went down to 51 since the opening. The opening spread was 53, and now it went down to 51.
Okay.
So that's telling. You could, that could be an indicator of some smart money coming in later. On Tennessee, but this is going to be the game where there's going to be a lot of chalk. There's going to be a lot of people on this game, and for good reason. Both teams are pretty good on offense. I think it's going to be a little misleading. These teams don't meet each other very often in Oakland, but when they have, it's been some high scoring games. So, the last time it was in Oakland was in 2013, and it was a barn burner. And before that was way back in 2004. And they combined, I think, to score. What was it? 70 points, I think, between the two teams. So, there's something to be had here. Games get weird out in Oakland. It's Oakland. But both teams have star quarterbacks. That are gonna and strong running games. Now, Oakland's gonna have they got a really good offensive line. They really protect Derek Carr. And now with Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, coming back in and playing there, it's a team that he always wanted to play for. And what a ideal situation for him to have some success. I anticipate a big game out of Lynch, and I think it's going to be a pretty pedestrian game for Derek Carr on his by his standards. I think he's going to be, he might get us 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, but but who's going to catch those passes? Cooper, a lot of people are going to, be on Crabtree because of last year. He does pass the ball a lot to Crabtree. Trust Crabtree. But if the preseason has indicated anything, it looks like Amari Cooper is going to take a step forward here this year also. So that that's going to be the culprits from Oakland. But you're going to pay for them. Their salaries, pretty high on both sides. On Tennessee side, I really like Marcus Mariota. I think with the dual threat of him using his legs and passing, is gonna be lethal this year. Mark my words, he will be one of the quarterbacks in a winning Millionaire Maker this year. Just because of the dual threat that he presents. And his top weapon is Delaney Walker. Now he does have a new receiver there, and who's going to command some red zone targets, and Eric Decker. I mean, he's like steady Eddie. He just keeps producing, no matter where he's at. A lot of people are going to be on Rashard Matthews. Well, I could make a case for going with Eric Decker instead because of the touchdown potential there. I like DeMarco Murray a lot. He'll be doing a lot of checkdowns and catching passes. So that's a guy that's gonna be a winning lineup this year also. From a construction aspect, you could do Decker and actually what I would do is pair up Mariota and Delaney Walker, and then possibly even Murray in there. And then I would also take Crabtree on the other side. and pair those together. That way, you have both sides covered on this game, and the combination of all of those is going to be pretty low owned. Now, a wild card in this is Corey Davis. He's the hot new receiver, top pick from Tennessee. I don't foresee him having a big impact in this game. Maybe down the line in later in the year, but not this year. They're not this week. Now another guy, if you need a flyer, Seth Roberts. All he does is catch touchdowns. He's the burner for Oakland. So he could get one or maybe even two. So in a week one, who knows? You never know. So
any which way,
right? So that's like I said, there's gonna be a lot of people on this game. So you could if you want a piece of it, go ahead. For cash games especially, for GPP, I mean, you could do separate. You could take this that core I mentioned, and then separate yourself elsewhere with some of those other flyers I mentioned. So, yeah, that's what I got for that one.
A lot to be thinking on that one.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us up to Tampa Bay, Miami. Both Florida teams are looking to be facing Hurricane Irma here in any moment, actually. So that game has actually been
it's been postponed till
exactly.
So they actually get a bye this week.
All right.
So we're gonna bypass that, and so don't play any Buccaneers or Dolphins.
Nope, not in your best interest, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to Baltimore and Cincinnati.
It's gonna be a bloodbath.
It's always a tough one, isn't it?
This game is gonna be. This game's got 22-19 written all over it. The point spread is, I think, 42. Since he's favored by 3, it's only because they're at home. Sounds like Joe Flacco's going to be back under center for this game. And it's really the only people I'm looking at in this game is maybe AJ Green. AJ Green's always a bit, he could go off anytime. They have had moments where they have had some shootouts, but these games are usually just tough nose, slug it out, yeah, type of matchups. You can go defense on this, but even the defense, there's not a lot of fantasy points. With turnovers and such from these two teams. So,
be a good game to pay attention to, but maybe not your best investment for the fantasy lineup.
Yeah, I don't think. You could go, with Danny Woodhead, from a PPR perspective, or you could do Flacco and Mike Wallace to maybe hook up a couple times deep. but that's about it. I don't see a lot from Cincinnati other than maybe, like I said, AJ Green or Tyler Eifert. I don't think this is a very good matchup for Eifert, but he gets plenty of opportunity. He gets plenty of targets, so it's always a possibility. He's not really on my radar this week, but because there's other guys that I like better. But if you need someone, if you have the opportunity and you really got your heart sold on Eifert, go for it. For cash games, go for it. But that's about all I got for this game.
Alrighty. So it brings us up to Pittsburgh and Cleveland, another nearby rivalry there in the Rust Belt. And what do you expect for that matchup?
Well, Pittsburgh has owned this series, but Cleveland is much improved. They've played each other very tough. Especially last year, Cleveland gave Pittsburgh a heck of a scare, and their defense is much improved. Their offensive line. I tell you what, I really liked their offensive line this year from Cleveland. I think Crowell could have a big day. I really like his chances this week. And he's gonna be another fly under the radar type of guy. Now the point spread is, Pittsburgh's favored by 8.5. That's a big total, but there's been a lot of well documented that Roethlisberger doesn't play very well away from home. His road home splits are massive. I think that changes this week. I think he's going to come out flying. I think him and Martavis Bryant are going to hook up for at least 2 touchdowns. I think they're going to air it out to start, and then just run the ball and make Cleveland play catch up. So I like Pittsburgh's defense. I also like, to be honest, I like James Conner. He looked good in preseason. Obviously Le'Veon Bell was the stud there. But there's news out there that he's going to be on a pitch count. Well, if Pittsburgh gets up big on Cleveland early, there's no reason to keep Le'Veon Bell in the game. And if that happens, that's going to be opportunity for James Conner to just grind the clock out. Now, meanwhile, on the other side, you got Cleveland. You got a rookie quarterback playing, DeShone Kizer, and he's been good this preseason. He's still a rookie, so we don't know. He could come in and be the real deal. But he always did that. He could also get nervous and
Might go from the real deal to the real dud, huh?
yeah. Now his number one target's going to be Kenny Britt. He's kind of the default, wide receiver one for them. And then Corey Coleman is another receiver. I mean, they're going to be playing from behind, and Kaiser's got to throw it to somebody. So, he could end up with a big fantasy producing day in a losing effort. And for us fantasy players, we don't really care who wins. We just want the stats. So, that's fantasy goodness for us. One guy that to keep an eye on for tight end, this guy's going to be very low owned, is Vance McDonald. He came over from the 49ers. He's going to be pushing Jesse James for the starting job there. But they made a trade for him so that they want to play him. So that guy catches a lot of passes in the red zone. So you could do Bryant, Roethlisberger, and McDonald. Pair him up with Pittsburgh defense. Actually, maybe I wouldn't do that. I would not. That's too many, but at least the three offensive. Or if you wanted to go with Bryant. I mean, Antonio Brown's going to get his catches. But you're also paying his salary, and from a point per per dollar, to get his salary paid off, he's gonna have to do a lot, and there's a lot of mouths to feed there in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. So I don't foresee him being able to pay it off. If he does, well, I mean, he could go off for 45 points too, but what I would, if you're gonna play this game, what I would do is go with Martavis Bryant, Vance McDonald, and Roethlisberger. And then on the other side, you have Crowell in there. Or you could do another variation. You could get crazy with it. Is take a flyer on it at Connor and Pittsburgh's defense, and then Crowell from the Browns, and maybe Coleman. That's gonna be super contrarian there. So.
Well, you know how to take the contrarian view and cash it in for some serious results. So
yeah,
I'm sure all your listeners are glad to get your insights in on that one.
Yeah, that could be some that could be the winning ticket. There is that
dark horse, as they call it.
Right, and because there won't be anybody on Connor, but if that pitch count is accurate, and if Pittsburgh's up, yeah, they're gonna take Bell out. for sure. So, yeah, I just that's intriguing to me. If you want to just take a flyer, it's only if you're gonna do multiple lineups. If you're doing one lineup, no way. I would not do that. Multiple lineups, sure, you can do that.
Fantastic. Well, that brings us up to an end of another session here. We'll be right back with you. This is Fantasy Results from DailyDraftAnalysis.com, talking with JBlaze39. Welcome back. We're talking with JBlaze39 on Fantasy Results, weekly podcast for DailyDraftAnalysis.com. All right, we are moving toward the home stretch of our games for Week 1. Let's start looking at Indianapolis versus the LA Rams.
Yeah, point total was 42, and surprisingly, Indy's favored by 3.5.
Now, what do you make about the fact that it dropped quite a bit? It looks like 48 point total from the opening all the way down to 42. That's one of the bigger drops from...
Yeah, that's because the news came out that Andrew Luck was not going to be playing. And Scott Tolzien is going to get to start for Indy. Which is bad news for T.Y. Hilton, Dante Moncrief. The person that might benefit the most on this is Frank Gore. He's going to get a heavy dose, but he's 34 years old. I don't know how much he's got left. He may run him into the LA ground. I mean, I like the Rams defense a lot in this game. That's probably my number one choice this week for fantasy defense. And I'm also going to pair them up with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley didn't have a very good year last year. There was a lot of turmoil last year, and he didn't get very much help from his quarterback. Also, he had a different coach. It's a whole new system, whole new approach there in LA. Because they go from Jeff Fisher, which I don't know why that guy coached so long, but anyway, there's a lot of misuse by some of the talent there. But LA's got some talent. If Goff can figure stuff out in his second year and actually show that he can be a competent quarterback. Yeah, the two quarterbacks in this game, Scott Tolzien and Jared Goff, I think they've started a total of 16 games between them in their NFL career. Now, Tolzien learned under Aaron Rodgers. He played for Green Bay before, so weirder things have happened, and Tolzien could go off. I don't expect it, but from a super contrarian, you could take Tolzien probably Moncrief. He's more of the big play guy. So you could also pair him up with Jack Doyle. He's going to be his best friend because he's going to be a security blanket. Other than Gurley, I don't see anybody else for the Rams. I don't see Goff doing much. So that's going to be just run the ball type of game. So moving on.
That's one for the record books, perhaps. All right, so we go on to Seattle and Green Bay. This one's always interesting. A lot of fireworks, a lot of razzle-dazzle, it seems like. This one actually opened up at 50 points, now at 51 points. One of the higher for this week. What are your thoughts on Green Bay, Seattle, Seahawks, and Packers?
It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be another, another chalky game. A lot of people are going to be on this one, and for different reasons. I mean, these two always seem to match up and end up in high-scoring games. But it's also been documented that both these quarterbacks have started off slow in the last few years. So I don't expect it to be as high-scoring as maybe some people think. It's hard to go against Vegas, but it is in Green Bay. But then again, Seattle's catching a break because, hey, it's September. It's not December.
Mm-hmm. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's not the frozen tundra. It's Green Bay is favored by 3. Seattle usually plays, these weird games. There's gonna be a defensive touchdown in this game. Not sure who, but there will be one. Whether it's on defense or special teams.
You heard it first here, folks.
I happen to think, from a lineup construction, you could do Tyler Lockett from Seattle, and because he does return kicks, he's going to do both punts and kickoffs. And you could pair him up with Seattle's defense. So that could be one way to go about this. Jimmy Graham is going to have a field day against Green Bay. Green Bay can't stop the tight end. I think CJ Prosise is going to be catching a lot of swing passes out of the backfield to move the chains. I also think that Doug Baldwin is going to be very high owned, and he's gonna catch. He's probably gonna get his at least one touchdown. There's gonna be some plays made by the Green Bay offense with Ty Montgomery. I think he's going to be the focal point, really. Both catching and passing, catching and running the ball. I don't think Jordy Nelson's going to have a very big day, but I could see this being more of a Randall Cobb type of day to also. So that's all I got for this game.
All right, so it brings it up to Carolina, San Francisco. Another big points. 49 was the opening and dropped down a bit, 47, 48. What are your thoughts on this game? Out on going to split the coasts.
Yeah. This, I tell you what, from a super contrarian viewpoint, I really like the combination of Hoyer and Garcon. Brian Hoyer likes to throw it deep, and he does. He have a burner by name of Marquise Goodwin, but I think Garcon's going to be peppered a lot. Now, Carlos Hyde's going to be very highly owned because just recently Roto Grinders dubbed him as the top play per dollar this week. So he's going to be a boost in ownership. I'm gonna pivot off of that. Not saying he's not gonna have a good game. Yeah, you could for cash. You could use him. But that's about all. Cam Newton, he's always in play. His salary's down, so. He could be, he always has the potential of getting, 40 points too. If I'm going to use Cam Newton, I'm going to pair him up with Greg Olsen. I'm also going to put in Christian McCaffrey. I think he's going to catch a lot of passes. But a guy that a lot of people are going to forget about is James Stewart. I think he could be saying, wait a second, I'm still here running the ball. So, don't sleep on him. So, but, my favorite play of the week is Hoyer and Garcon. So,
keep watch.
Yes.
Keep watch on some fireworks. All right. One last little break. We're going to come back and finish off our last three games. You are listening to Jay Blaze 39, giving his weekly breakdown on fantasy results, dailydraftanalysis.com. I want to thank all our listeners for dialing in for our fantasy results podcast. We're down to our last three games for week number 1. Jay Blaze 39 for dailydraftanalysis.com. Jay, tell us about New York Giants and Dallas. Big point spread, but they brought it back a bit. Started off 50 and down to 47.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game. It's a division game. Teams that know each other well, and tell you for the big millionaire maker, this is the late night hammer, Sunday Night Football, and the last few matchups between these two teams in Dallas have led to some pretty big points being scored by each team. So there could be some fireworks in this. And for whatever reason, Eli Manning plays in Dallas very well. So, it's and this is going to be no different. I think Dallas defense is going to take a step back. I think Dallas wins this game, but I think it's going to be by a last second field goal. The guys, there's going to be a major narrative in this with the suspension hanging over Ezekiel Elliott. He'll play this week, but it sounds like he might be suspended after this game if he doesn't file a lawsuit against the NFL. So, he could view this game as a kind of an FU to the league and just run wild. I'll say it's what it's what you're doing. Is what I think of that. But the Giants defense could have something to say about that because the last few matchups last year, in both matchups, I think he was held to maybe just over 100 yards and one touchdown in 2 games. So that's pretty good if you ask me. The Giants' pass defense is legit. But weird things happen in these division games. So especially in prime time. So some of that you can throw out the window. So I don't know. It's you got your usual suspects. You got Des Bryant. Dak Prescott and Cole Beasley is an interesting choice here. He's in the slot and he's going to get a lot of underneath type of passes. A lot of people are going to be on Williams, Terrell Williams. I think this is Terrell. But I don't see it. I think Beasley's gonna have a bigger day. Also, I think Paul Perkins is going to have a decent game for the Giants. And Brandon Marshall's going to get a lot of opportunity, I think, and he might try to steal the show from Beckham. So because he's going to demand the ball. So, and if he's open, Manny's going to hit him. So, I could see this being a 31-30 game. Just, there's going to be I think there's going to be some fancy defense in this game also. There's going to be Sterling Shepard's going to be another guy that could get a couple deep on Dallas. So that's somebody to consider. So, but that's all I got for that one.
All right. So we got New Orleans and Minnesota, North and South, coming together.
Yeah, a rematch in 2009.
You got it. You got it. Lots changed since then.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell us?
Well, don't throw across the body.
Mm-hmm.
A la Brett Favre. Well, there's a lot of hype on this one. Adrian Peterson, spent a lot of years here, coming back as the enemy. I think it's going to be a lot of hype with him. But I think the Vikings defense is going to shut him down. I predict 2 fumbles by Adrian. And, what I could see happening is opening up the game, and Breeze does a play action to Adrian and goes deep to Ted Ginn for a deep pass for a touchdown. And then Ted Ginn is a sneaky play here. He's still got some juice in the tank there. So, and Drew Brees is one of the most accurate deep ball passers. So, I could see the Vikings defense just biting hard on Adrian on the play action, and they getting burnt deep. And I see I also see the Ingram having a decent game for actually the guy I really like for this Kamara, Alvin Kamara. He's the pass catching back from New Orleans, and he could be a sneaky play also. On Minnesota side, Sam Bradford, talk about Mr. Dink and Dunk. He could be sneaky. Also, I could see a shootout here. What you could do is have Breeze and Ginn, and then match them up with Thielen. Rudolph is going to get a lot of red zone touches. Dalvin Cook's going to steal the show because there's going to be incentive there. He's trying to prove himself, as worthy replacement with Adrian in the building, and I could see him having a big day. He's one of my favorite plays this week as a running back, and he's fairly cheap, and another guy, Michael Thomas, he's going to be matched up against Xavier Rhodes, and well, I don't think he's going to have a very big day. So Stephon Diggs, he'll get a lot of targets. He's gonna. I think he's in for a huge year this year, and I think the Minnesota offense is gonna have
A field day?
Well, not a field day, but I mean, it's going to be a 35-30 game. Right off the gate. That's what I see happening. So,
Well, we'll be watching.
yeah.
All right. Well, last but not least, we take our final game for week number 1, the LA Chargers. Gonna have to take some getting used to with that. They are playing Denver. Broncos and Chargers. What do you have to tell us?
Well, a lot of defense on the, defense and running. The defense and running backs are going to dominate this game. Philip Rivers gonna, he'll be handing off to Melvin Gordon, and that is one area that where Denver can be had is in the running game. Because their pass defense is elite. So the guys I like in this game are Melvin Gordon, C.J. Anderson, and I also like Travis Benjamin to catch a deep pass. From Philip Rivers. So, Keenan Allen is going to be, getting a lot of targets. So, and, I mean, it's a rivalry game. So, who knows? I mean, Trevor Siemian's looked pretty good. This is going to be, your typical 28-25 game, There's going to be some, fancy goodness, but I don't think it's going to be as much as people think. So, if you want a late night hammer, for the full slate, yeah, you could stack this game. And, I wouldn't do a full game stack, but I would do a mini stack with Gordon and Anderson, and maybe a Keenan Allen or a Travis Benjamin. But that's about it. So I guess you could do Emmanuel Sanders for salary relief, but that's about it. So yeah, that's what I see happening this week.
All right. Any parting thoughts, summaries for last tips or tricks for tricks of the trade?
Well, yeah. I mean, week 1 is unpredictable, and there's things that happen in week 1 that are not going to happen the rest of the year. And there's going to be tendencies of teams that things are trick plays, catching teams by surprise that nobody's seen yet. And in order to win your big tournaments and your qualifiers, and get weird on this, but you have to have upside. Don't get too weird. You got to have a base, meaning you got to have some chalky plays that are going to get your floor. What I try to do, in addition to doing the jigsaw puzzle, when I'm constructing a lineup, have everything correlate together. But I also like to get really. I'll have a lot of a core chalk plays, and then all you need is one or two of the cheap guys to go off. And it's better, if someone that is going to be low owned, as say in the $4 or $5, $6,000 range, goes off, as opposed to someone in the $8,000-$9,000 range like a David Johnson or a Le'Veon Bell, or it takes so much more salary to pay off to make it worth rostering. Having the most expensive guy doesn't mean you have the best team. Like I said, it all has to work together. And in order to win, you got to shoot for a score of 240 to 250. That's where you have to try to find your can your team, you have to ask yourself, can this team get there? And if they can't, and that's what you're trying to do, is enter those contests where they're top heavy. So if you're trying to take those contests down, you got to have that potential. Your team has to have that potential to get there. If not, you're wasting your money. So just keep that in mind. So cash games, just be safe. Just do it, your normal safe plays that produce every week. Don't get too crazy with those. So lineup, and contest selection is huge. The smaller GPPs is where you're going to get most of your value, your money. Obviously, you can throw in, take your chance at the Millionaire Maker or whatever, or some of the other contests they have, but I wouldn't go crazy with those. Just, get balanced. Yeah, get your base in there, and then try to, so you have security with upside. You have a floor to cover yourself. That's proper bankroll management. You just try to and don't go crazy with the first week. Don't blow all your bankroll on the first week. There's too many too many variables with it. Maybe play play cautious until we know some tendencies of teams. So.
All right, sounds real good. Sound advice from someone who's been there and achieved some pretty remarkable results. So we're talking with Jay Blaze 39. Jay, when are we going to be talking with you again? When will you be releasing your next video for week 2? Not video, but blog.
Well,
podcast.
I'm going to try to do my podcast every Wednesday night, between Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right.
That's usually when I'll try to release each week. So.
Fantastic. You're listening to Fantasy Results, Jay Blaze 39 on DailyDraftAnalysis.com.